wooded view, low traffic street.
Okay.
Right? Convenient to schools. Convenient,
Convenient location because it's convenient.
convenient. Low traffic, wooded views. Right?
Yeah.
What else?
Large yard. Lots of parking.
Yeah.
Free leaves to jump in.
Do you have knobs?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Backyard.
Yeah.
Okay. Knobs view, low traffic. Is this a dead end street?
Yes.
Low traffic, dead end street.
Pretty when it's snowing.
No, it's not.
Quiet with a train going by.
When we walk up to the house, I'm doing this. I'm already checking everything out. What are we already noticing that needs attention here? Gutters are full.
Gutters
yeah.
been cleaned out once and they're full again.
Yeah. So, Bud, do I need to take my shoes off?
No, sir.
Wait a minute, we can backtrack a little bit. Hey, Bud, it's Todd Paxton. We had an appointment at 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. May I come in?
Yes, sir. Come on in. Been waiting for you.
Hey, it's Todd Paxton with the Paxton Group. We had an appointment at 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. May I come in? What happens if it's 2:15? You don't say that. Right? You just say, hey, sorry, I was a little bit behind traffic, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Now, always, when I set a listing appointment, I like to say, I'll see you around 2 o'clock. I might be 15 minutes late or so, just depending on traffic in the day, but I will be there and I'll let you know if I'm too far behind. Okay, cool. Give them the expectation as opposed to, he was late. First thing they think of, right? Question.
Well, why say it's 2 o'clock? Our appointment was for 2 and it's 2 and hi.
So why do we remind them of that, Morgan?
I mean,
I remember that from
so
your
they
night.
know they know you're on time, right?
You're prompt and respectful.
Okay.
Just a small little.
Okay.
How did you say it? You told them, you're showing them that you are doing what you said you were going to do.
Okay.
I lived up to my commitment.
Okay. Okay.
Makes sense?
Yes.
These are just small little
Okay.
scripts and
Okay.
tidbits of setting yourself up to look good along
Okay.
the way, okay? Hey, Kristen, thank you for having, it's Todd Paxton. We have an appointment at 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. May I come in?
Okay.
That tells them, man, he's prompt, he remembered, he's on time, there's a commitment there. Make sense?
Yes.
Great question. Feel free to ask questions along the way. Do they take my shoes off? No, that's okay. Only 3 times I think I've ever, they've said, yeah, if you don't mind. Okay, cool. And I always try to wear slip shoes, that way it's this easy, right? Don't judge my my Star Wars socks.
Also, don't wear holy socks. Is that where?
Yeah, don't wear holy socks on listing day. That is true.
I gotta write that down. I haven't written that one down yet.
Yeah, don't wear holy socks. No, don't worry about it. What, by me asking that question, what does that tell them?
You're considered.
Well,
Care about the house.
Makes sense, right? Okay. Well, Bud, thanks for having me over. How would you like to do this? Maybe want to show me around?
Sure. Let's go.
How would you like to do this? Would you maybe want to show me around? Right? I've asked them, I've set them up to where they think they're in control. Who's in control, Adam? Always. That's my opinion. I'm a high D kind of guy. Everybody that may not work for. But I do like that. How would you like to do this? Would you like to maybe show me around? What do most sellers want to do first?
give you the tour.
They want to show you around. Right?
What you do?
You can go to 50 different listing presentations, classes, and you're going to hear it done 50 different ways. All right? The goal of today is just to show you and express to you what has been successful for me in my years. Okay? Do it how you want, some sort of variation. We're going to be improving the listing material as we go along. There's never a finished product. Everything is a work in progress. But this is just going to show you best practices of what's worked for me. Okay? A lot of sellers, oh, hey, come in, let me show you around. Blah, 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 and you're gone. You can't keep track of everything. They're in control. That's okay. And it's not a control issue, or not necessarily, as much as it is a flow and to be as, it was you the other day, right? Yeah. be as efficient as possible going through the house one time. Right? Makes sense? Was that you there, David?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how would you like to handle this, bud? Would you like to maybe show me around?
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And it's almost like, oh, but before we go, if we notice a few things that might need some attention to help your house sell for more money in less amount of time, is it okay if we point those out?
Absolutely, please.
What did we just do, Kristen?
Oh,
We talked about this last week.
what you're getting permission to basically kind of tell them how much of a shithole they have.
Boom. Does that make sense, Shane?
Yeah.
They just gave us permission to tell them what to do to their house. Before we walk around, is it okay if we notice a few things that might need some attention to help your house sell for more money in less amount of time? Is it okay if we point those out? Majority of time, people are going to say, that's why I called you. Does that make sense?
Needed to know.
And I kid around with Detroit when I said we have them in the palm of our hand at that point. We got them, man. We got them. We're also setting ourselves up as the trusted professional. They've seen the marketing. They've heard us on the phone, internet, social, whatever medium they've seen or heard us or been referred to us on site. We are setting ourselves up as the market professional. We care about them and we care for them. And we've done this all within less than 60 seconds. Does that make sense? Questions thus far?
Can you address real quickly the problem or the issue with walking around first and having them ask questions? Hey, so how much is your commission? Hey, so what's it? Like, can you address?
Like when they ask questions while we walk?
Yeah, because you don't want to get ahead of things, and I know you have your presentation. That you kind of it doesn't matter.
I think you're going to go to 50 listing presentation classes and they're going to say you have to do it this way. And then the next week you're going to go to another one, you have to do it this way. And the next week you have to do it this way. But you've listed a dozen houses or so. Have any 2 listing appointments been the same yet?
Not even close.
Kristen?
No, not one.
Adam, Nate? Never. My opinion, they are rarely the same thing. Now, we're humans. We're not robots. That's my theory, right? I might be wrong, and the best coaches around the country probably tell me I'm crazy for doing it. I don't care. My experience tells me we're not robots. No 2 listing appointments are the same. So if they ask me right here, what's your commission? We'll say, okay, if they ask me first thing, well, before we get started, Tom, what's your commission? Oh, no worries, we'll get to that. Tell me about this room. What do you like? What are the features you like about this room?
Does the fireplace work?
Redirect.
All right, I like that.
Now, then if they're combative or stern or whatever, then we're going to handle it. But I'm okay with the redirection one time, and then we handle it the second time if they push it. Or if they handle it like in another room, if they ask it in another room, let's say, you know what, we're going to get to that at the kitchen table here in just a few minutes. Is it okay if I finish taking care of my paperwork before we get to that part?
Okay, that's good. I like it.
So when they are stern assholes and they want to know, what do you say then?
If they're stern assholes and they want to know then, I would probably give them the answer right there.
Okay.
And you're quickly going to determine whether you want to work for them or not.
Right, okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
You're going to know
okay,
if they're an asshole you want to work for them or not.
right,
And honestly, don't work for assholes if you don't want to.
right,
Right? We come from a business of abundance.
right.
We have abundance in our world. We just have to go find the right people to help. Because there are assholes out there. There are also wonderful people that
Right.
want us to help them. I'm okay working for assholes. Some. But if you don't want to, don't. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, hey, great question. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. Tell me about your room. What do you like here, your living room? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. I get it. But then, and don't be shady about it. Don't try to hide them all or anything, right? It's just like within 10 minutes, we're going to have that conversation. And then 10 minutes from now, we'll address that at the kitchen table. So, commission, what questions do you have about the commission? Awesome. Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I explain all the value that we provide for the compensation that we earn? Commission is earned. Why don't I show you the value that we provide for the commission that we earn? And if we'll have questions, we'll go over numbers in a little bit, because in my file, I've got an estimated net sheet that I'll break down all the figures, and we're going to talk about the check that you walk away with at closing. Is that fair? And look, every one of you are shaking your head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Does
for
that make
sure,
sense?
absolutely.
Those are called tie downs.
Okay.
And suggestive nodding.
Yes.
From the Sullivan Knot, the gentleman named Sullivan.
I swear to you, Dietrich makes fun of me, but it can be right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, it does it again.
Yeah.
Right?
If you do that, half the people in America can't say no. You paralyze them.
That's a
You don't even have to say a word. You just do this and all
That's why they make compliments.
You don't even have to talk. You give them the old Sully and they're with it.
You should be real. Questions on that?
Oh, no,
Questions on objections? Did you have something or were you just?
For the video, Todd, I don't know if I missed that part, but you have the file folder in your hand, right?
Yeah, so at this point, they have filled out a pre-list. Ideally, they have filled out a pre-listing checklist. They have, Sarah, the listing manager, has filled out the listing file, and I have this on me, okay? I also have this on me, a laser measure. Does everyone have one?
No, not yet.
Okay, 50, 60, 80 bucks, Amazon,
Lowe's has them too.
Lowe's, okay.
It was like $38 at Lowe's, I think.
In here, I carry highlighter, pencil, red pen, blue pen, extra notepad, the laser measure. I like to carry an iPad or something that'll get on the internet more than your phone, a little bit bigger screen if you need to hop on the MLS to show them what's up, or any marketing pieces there. And typically, I don't have it on me, is the blue Paxton Group folder that is our listing presentation paperwork. Okay, it's nothing fancy, it's a work in progress, but I like to have that visual to show them, okay? Questions on that, Sarah? We good?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
In the listing folder, we're going to have the assessor card, GIS, any past listing paperwork, and I call this our worksheet. It's our MLS worksheet that we fill out during the tour of the home, okay? So on the MLS sheet, the current version, we agents don't need to fill out anything on the front page or anything on the top half of the second page, okay? At the office, in your pre-work, you should be able to fill out a lot more of this. But if you want to do it all on site, it's just as efficient. It's just as efficient to do everything on site, okay? You all, have you filled one out? Have you? Yeah. Okay, no, okay. Next week, why don't I shadow you doing this? Is that okay? Or we can all shadow somebody doing it. And when we go out next time, I want both of you to fill it out as we go around. So if you can go ahead and grab a laser measure this week or borrow mine, okay?
Cool, borrow mine
You
too.
can borrow mine too. Mine's really cool. A lot better than his.
This has a double-sided, whatever.
Mine just
Okay, while we walk around, if we notice a few things that might need some attention to help your home sell for more money in less amount of time, is it okay if we point those out? Absolutely. That's why you're here. Cool, thanks. And while we walk around, tell me the high points of each room. While we do that, I'm going to fill out my worksheet as we go through. Is that cool?
That sounds good.
Awesome. Let me just finish getting right here. It's okay to make sure your pages are where you need it to be. All right? Cool. Awesome. So, does your fireplace work? Nate, does your fireplace work?
Occasionally.
I like that answer.
Okay. So, I'm just writing down LR 16 by 14, level 1. I like to put fireplace, open flooring. I will just make it efficient and put an L for laminate, V vinyl, W wood, C carpet. Because if I'm with a client and I'm writing out the word laminate or just L, I want to take care of the client, not my paperwork. When I was a nurse, I used to get so frustrated that our charting was so intense and so much, we couldn't take care of the patient, we were taking care of the damn paperwork. Let's not do that in this business, okay?
What's the official rounding rule?
Yeah,
Is it rounding like Basic math, rounding, we round.
If it's 15'6", it's 16.
Okay.
If it's 15'5", we round down.
Okay. Just basic math, rounding.
I round up from the half up.
Okay. That's what I've always done too. I didn't know if that was right.
Half up. Good question. Great question. Because it doesn't matter. You're not going to get sued over a room being 15.5 or whatever. Okay? And we have 10% leeway. If a house is 1,300 square feet, but we market it as 1,400 square feet, we are technically within 10% rule, and it's okay. Now, don't do it maliciously.
Don't do it every time.
Now, if we have a house that's 1,900, if it measures out 1,995 square feet, what are we going to list that as?
2,000.
Boom. Does that make sense? That's okay. 2,000 sounds a lot better than 1,999 or whatever in that aspect. Cool. So in here, I like to write fireplace, CF, and bookshelves. Right? I just want a little bit of features on this sheet, so when somebody looks at it, they're like, oh man, that's cool. It's got this, it's got that, it's got built-in bookcases, right? And Sarah is going to look at this for the marketing remarks when she writes those up. Okay, so you're going to look at the features here, and I like to put other features down here. So the stuff that we talked about outside, convenient location. Anybody have another pen?
And I know you already mentioned it, but flooring, I want to mention that. I want to write that down every time also.
What about it?
Well, just because there's a good chance that it's different from the last time I was in the MLS. So if you get back to the office, you don't remember, what was the living room again? You're not going to
Yeah, and if I know it's a one story, I'm just going to put a 1 all the way down there and not have to write 1 each time. Does that make sense? Just a quick efficiency tip.
Just a note from my side on that too, real quick. Just hit on that. I think that sometimes it's like, oh well, I can look at the picture, but I don't know if this is laminate or wood or vinyl, like just from the picture. So it really, like it's super helpful for me to know exactly what it is too. Yeah.
Cool.
The listing manager.
Right.
I assume you probably already know this, but I'll just mention it. If you ever want to know what the flooring is, you can always pull a register up if there's a register on the floor. Pull it up and
okay.
that way you can
Yeah,
see
see?
the cut.
Gotcha.
That's how you see the cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Laminate, you will see clearly defined cuts here. Hardwood, maybe as well, but hardwood shouldn't have all 3 rows cut the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Just a quick
got it,
tip.
okay.
Cool. Any questions here? Awesome. And then literally, Nate, we're just flowing right over here. Cool. Okay, boom, measuring, and then measuring. And you can measure as subtle as that, right? Like face to face, talk to them, make sure the red dot's in your peripheral, and boom. And then just glance down, 10 by 10, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Little eat-in kitchen area, awesome. Nothing to talk about here. Move on, right? If this is, falling in, or if it's bad, or whatever, windows busted, you can talk about stuff. But this has replacement windows. I need to write that down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And boom, and you just move on in, barge on in, boom. Okay, cool. Measure, boom. Oh wow, there's a lot of cabinets here, and they're gonna talk. What is that? Pantry?
That's old school. Or I get my ironing board.
I'm gonna write that down in here, right?
So
kitchen.
when I'm making dinner, I can also
You can iron.
my lunch. Or
Do what you're supposed to be doing.
I can iron the noodles.
Have you ever seen Little
like
Rascals
flat
where they use
noodles.
it as the table?
Oh, no.
Ceiling
Oh,
fan.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's
Oh, yeah,
a me generation thing.
I think I
So we don't need to spend a lot of time here, right? Although this is more important. I'm very, very, very picky about kitchen countertops. I don't want anything on them for pictures. And I mean anything. Unless it's a colorful fruit bowl in the corner with 2 green apples, 2 red apples, 2 oranges, 3 bananas. Does that make sense?
In that order? Got it, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
A little bit of jazz, a little bit of color over there. No, I don't want your knife rack, your butcher, your blender thing, your coffee maker, your toaster oven. Put it in the cabinet or your trunk on picture day. A picture is worth 1,000 what?
Word.
Dollars.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Picture's worth $1,000. Think of it in that terms, and that's That's always your first impression. Your first showing is rarely in person. Your first showing is online, on your phone, on your app. I remember a few years ago, they're like, more people look on their phone now than a computer. And like now, it's expected that just more people look on their phone than a computer. Like, people are looking on their phone. I love listing houses the week before Thanksgiving or the week before Christmas. Because what are people doing during those holidays? They're spending time with other people, family and friends. A lot of them are looking at real estate on their phones during that time. Okay, they've always historically been decently busy time because people are, oh look, I'm looking at this house, cool. Oh, you should send them a message. Let's go look at it. Da, 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 da. Or it's part of the word that spreads around during the holidays. Okay, so questions thus far? Nothing on the kitchen counter. If it's really big and dark, like everything's brown in there, I would suggest a flower pot, or maybe a fruit bowl or a flower pot, or maybe a colorful rug by the sink, just a little jazz up. Dollar General, $6.99. Don't have to overboard it, okay? Questions here? Let's roll. Literally, as I'm walking in, I'm measuring that wall as I walk in.
Couple times.
Cool. And just taking the note. Another thing is body positioning. I don't know if Allison's talked much about it during showing. I'm 6'3", 225. I'm a bigger than the average dude, right? So if you're the two married couple, if I'm all like talking like this and looking around, it's gonna make them a little maybe intimidated or just make them feel closed in. So I tend to gravitate towards corners, just so I can have a conversation face to face. And it's the old rules of acting. Did y'all take acting classes or anything, drama? They told us to never turn our back towards the audience, right? If you have to turn, you turn in this manner instead of turning in this manner, right? Like my pirouette. So never turn your back towards the client unless you have to, and give them the space that they need and deserve. Does that make sense? I think that's a very important part, because this is part of an act. It's part of the showtime. It's all part of the grand presentation. That stuff matters. And quite frankly, they might think you stink, and you don't want to be close. That's nice. So we just measure the bathroom. Cool, nothing big there. And then that goes outside. Oh, okay, cool. And blah blah blah. I'm always saying, this is a different situation because I'm kind of talking a lot, explaining everything to you. As we're walking through, I'll always add little words in subliminally. Make sense? Oh, cool. Neat. Awesome. All right. Little words as I'm walking through rooms, right? And then when I see something that needs some attention, be like, huh. I'll make it as uncomfortable as I need to make it. Just for fun. I did exaggerate just a little bit there, but not by much. And what are they going to say? What are they going to do?
What do you see?
Yeah, what do you see?
What are you looking at?
Oh, what do you think
We
that
need to
is?
fix that?
Yeah, Morgan said it, right? And then, oh wow, what is it? What do you think that is? Should we fix that? Just look at me like, I would. Just give it a little, I would. Or I'd have to check that out. What do you think that is? I'm not a home inspector. It could be maybe the roof, not really sure. I can get a home inspector over here to check it out. I can get you in touch with some of our local contractors to take a look at that. But I think that is something that definitely needs to take a look at. Take a note. That needs something to take a look at. Okay, cool. Does that make sense? Have people been mad at us when we tell them that?
Not me, not ever.
Yeah. You?
Been said no,
You
but
asked
they've not
permission.
gotten mad.
Right, yeah.
They can't be mad at me. 5 minutes ago, you told me I could tell you your house is a dump. And I've been giving you words of encouragement. Oh, cool. Awesome. That's neat.
That's
All
cute.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
stuff like that. Oh, cool color. Do we need to paint this?
Cool color, yeah.
Do we need to paint this? You know what? I'm a dude. And this is my response. Ladies, you can use something else. Like, I'm a dude. I don't really care about colors. I mean, paint's cheap enough. And my thoughts are, if you don't like it, when you buy the home, just paint it. But if we get too many negative feedbacks about it, oh my gosh, I'm not buying that house because of the orange room, then you know what? Paint's not that expensive, and I might ask you to paint it. You can use it for both sides in the same sentence. Paint's cheap. Paint's cheap. Does that make sense? Paint's cheap. The buyer can just paint it. Well, you just said paint's cheap. Why don't you go ahead and paint it and make it easy on the sell? Does that make sense? Questions so far? Now, if I'm the one that feels trapped because there's no way to get over there, is this a split bedroom for me? Let's make our way that way. Cool. Might suggest they go and paint that. Just in case I heard it. There.
This is not bad.
See, had I known that the layout of this house was that way, I would have went this way first. But this was the next room, and that's just how we flow. It's okay if you don't know the perfect order every time.
No,
Is this something you guys can take care of?
no,
They've already said that? Yeah.
no, we don't wanna do that. My last conversation was, we're gonna have to talk about some of this stuff, cause no one's complained, but you know, they
But
see
it's-
it, and they think about
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what he said, well, who's complained? That's not the point, dude.
Goodness.
Sometimes things are bad enough, they
They're
don't
not
complain.
complaining, they're just not buying it.
Excuse me?
They are complaining by not
Not
buying.
buying
Yeah, we
it.
haven't sold this yet, have we?
I just noticed the stains in the carpet on the pictures.
I don't feel like that they're that bad though once we got here. I think the pictures.
The pictures
It was
don't.
the,
Alright, have you ever seen this in a window? Moisture?
yeah.
It's okay to check it on the back. It's dry. It's dry on the inside, dry on the outside. Where's the moisture?
On the, inside.
In the middle. So, here is a piece of glass. It's 70 degrees in here. On the other side of that other piece of glass, it's 20 degrees out there. So 70 glass, 20 glass. In the middle of the glass is a metal frame. On each side of that metal frame in between the glass is a rubber seal. So 70 degrees, glass, rubber seal, piece of metal, rubber seal, glass, 20 degrees. Makes sense? That's going to move and contract and contrast over the years, right? The seal, that rubber seal is going to be penetrated somehow, some way. And humidity is going to get trapped in between those windows. Not guaranteed, but that if this happens, that's what happens. So what you'll see then is moisture inside the windows. Okay? Does this whole window need replaced? No. What needs to happen?
Needs to be resealed.
How do you do that?
Take one of the panes out to reseal it?
Yep.
Okay.
Granger Glass, any local glass company could do one of two things. You could literally take this, tilt it out, run it to them. They pop off the vinyl on these new ones. They measure the sash. They'll pop the vinyl back on. You bring it back in, put it in. Week and a half later, they call you. You take it back to them. They charge you $100, and it's a fixed problem. Because to a homeowner, to an agent, this is no big deal. To a buyer, what is this?
It's a big deal.
A huge.
I mean, I see it all the time on inspection reports.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep. It is a very easy fix on these type of windows. For a $130,000 house, only $100, relatively speaking, a small amount of money. Now, a buyer, thank you. A buyer is going to make this a much, much bigger deal than it really is. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you see that, just let them know, hey, we can get a, here's who to call, have them call. They will also come over and measure, but obviously that's 2 trips, one to measure and one to install. They're going to charge for that too. So It might be worth their time if there's a bunch of windows. Makes sense?
Weather change, that just, I'm gonna have to talk to them about that, cause with the weather change,
Yep.
it got cold.
Yeah.
That's when you see that stuff,
Yeah.
is when
Yeah,
it gets
man.
cold, or extremely hot, one or the other.
So they can just pop that, out?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this vinyl is, you can pop that off very quickly and easily.
So this is a stupid question, so the additional paint that's in the window stays, that way your window is closed?
No, there'll be a void.
There will be a
Yeah, you
void.
gotta put
Yeah.
something over it.
Yeah,
Okay,
not
Some
okay.
screen or
Not
something
bad.
over it.
Okay,
I'd put a board,
okay,
yeah, or have somebody here and shut that door to where it doesn't stay
okay,
too cool in here, and just deal with it.
Okay.
That's what we've done.
Or a lot of the window companies, they'll just come out and measure, and
Yeah.
then when they come back, they'll have the sashes with them.
Okay,
So
so
they'll
you-
disassemble
But
it.
that-
put it back
that don't
together.
happen for
In like an
$100.
hour, they'll
Okay,
do like
right,
10 windows.
okay. I see
That,
what
that
you're
happens for $300, not $100.
Right.
That's what
If
he
you wanna
said.
get it done
That
To
would be
cheap,
more
measure, it's more
expensive.
you take
expensive,
it
yeah.
in, oh yeah,
Okay.
considerably more expensive.
okay,
Gotcha.
Cool. We don't do that for them. We advise them to do
okay,
that.
gotcha,
Make
Yeah.
sense?
yes,
Call.
Yeah, don't measure their windows.
okay.
Tell me. Yeah. No.
We're realtors, we're not
Window
carpenters,
installers?
plumbers, home improvers, that's not.
Tell
our-
him he needs new carpet too. It's not that much carpet.
Yeah, I do.
Egress.
Window,
No.
Just an egress.
Walls?
No?
How many? How many egresses?
At least one.
two,
Two. Okay.
One to get in
Oh.
and one to get out.
ingress,
Gotcha.
egress.
Has to be how much square feet?
I don't know.
70.
Okay,
Okay.
Mentally, that's a 7 by 10.
okay,
Not bad. That's pretty small. That's
Right.
probably like here over,
okay.
right? Yeah.
Enough to fit a bed.
Yeah, well, it's not much.
Twin.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
what's the third requirement?
So it's not the
No,
closet.
you don't have to.
Ah, heat
Heat.
in your ear.
Heat.
Oh, okay, okay,
Heat source.
okay.
Okay. Huh.
Does that have to be ductwork? Ductwork.
No,
No.
Be a
Radiant.
little
Could be an AC
wall
or heater.
here that's mounted.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I
Baseboard.
misunderstood you. I'm
We were
glad-
probably doing something else when I
No.
did it, but my point to them was, I told them I'd put a door on it. The three
Yeah.
bedrooms worth a lot more money than a 2-bedroom is.
That's a master suite with a master
It,
bedroom.
that's what I said too, it's got a bathroom.
seriously, in a room with a private balcony?
I'm so glad we came here because when I looked at the pictures, I'm like, that looks like a third bedroom.
Okay.
So,
This will be sold tomorrow.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
3 bedrooms.
Yeah, it is.
Here's
Well,
what.
plenty of people have seen it, they didn't see it that way.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do
A lot more
this?
people will see it.
Let's do this. Let's send somebody over here for a carpet quote.
Okay,
Because this carpet is not only stained, the hallway is horrible shape.
yep,
The staining can probably be cleaned by Sturgis for $200,
But the rips you can't.
but the rips you
Yeah.
can't fix. And so take that 200 towards new carpet. Yeah, you're gonna spend 1,800, but you're gonna sell your house, right? It's easy, and I always say that. Hey, look, I know it's easy for me to spend other people's money, but trust me when I say this. This house sitting empty is gonna cost you 1% per month.
Mhm.
This house is gonna cost you about $1,400 a month just sitting here. So if we went ahead and spent $2,000, you're gonna not spend 4 months of this house sitting there. You have a higher chance of not spending that. So can we go ahead and do the right thing and go ahead and get carpet into this place and get that window fixed? Because I promise you, that is hurting the sale of this home.
Okay.
How do you
Questions?
Get rid of that musty smell.
So it room does not have to have
Yeah,
a
it's
closet
not gonna for
to
sure.
be considered a bedroom.
No.
It's not
Really?
So
I have
Oh,
always
it's
heard
the
that.
smell, it smells better.
Yeah.
It smells good like a new
Exactly.
home.
Unless I've been informed wrong.
Interesting. Okay.
ANSI standards stay 70 square feet,
70 square feet.
2 forms of egress,
Uh huh.
and a heat source.
And he's okay.
Because in the 1920s or whenever, those homes didn't have closets.
Okay.
Because they had the big chaperone
Armoire,
wardrobe.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
I just go with that.
Okay.
Let's relist this property as a 3-bedroom with a new MLS if we can. And just in the 3rd bedroom, I would put no door, no entry door.
okay,
New carpet and then raise the price.
Yeah.
I would say new carpet, replace the window, put a door in, and we're gonna sell it for about $139.
Is it just as
Yeah.
valuable to
I'm sorry,
offer a
understood.
flooring allowance?
Lenders won't.
Okay,
They won't
Most
give you cash.
lenders won't allow them.
Okay,
And again, don't tell people something when you can
just.
show them
Okay.
something, right?
Oh, okay,
Makes sense. We talked about that in our listing
Yeah.
presentation. Don't tell them you're gonna do something, you show it.
just do it,
Right,
okay.
yeah. And then what are the 3 rules of doing something? We tell them we're gonna do it,
Mm-hmm,
we then do it,
mm-hmm.
and Morgan, then what?
Show them you did
We
it.
tell them that we did it,
Tell them
and
we
we
did it.
show them what we
Tell
did.
them whatever.
Good job. We tell them we're gonna do it, we do it, tell them we did it.
Okay,
That third piece is key. Hey, just wanna make sure, I let you know, Destiny, we went ahead and paid that $2,200 carpet invoice for you, blah, 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 we're taking care of that before closing. That's all I'm calling you for, or just texting you, just letting you know. We're here for you, we care for you, we're adding value to you. Does that make sense? If there's equity in this home, we'll look at that.
There is.
We may go ahead and pay for carpet for this home, just because I believe in that so much that that'll help this home sell as a 3-bedroom with new carpet. You know, and we have money in a special account, it's a help me account type thing, that if somebody has all their equity in a home, which most people do, we can spend a couple grand on new carpet for them, as long as there's enough equity in it that'll pay us back at closing.
Do we have to get something in writing for
that
that?
was my next question.
I'd like to.
I need to get Destiny, and the reason I'm asking is we're doing that for
If
this.
they don't, we will if they never sell their home and don't list it, we'll just put a lien on their home.
There you go.
So we're
Mechanics
covered.
lien, we're covered.
What if they do sell it and you still don't get paid?
No, we're part of the closing, so we.
Oh, I see what you're, okay.
We'll get paid.
So it won't get, you're not closing until,
I'm not gonna do it for those 2 agents, but yeah, right,
Okay.
or not on our team, I think.
right,
And I'm not gonna do it for everyone. They have
Right.
to have a considerable amount of equity.
okay,
And honestly, they need to not have the cash. Like,
okay,
don't know their personal story, but we can read through people pretty quickly and be like, they've got the money. This one dude didn't have, this one like, she don't have the money.
okay,
But I owe 80 on my $200,000 house.
right,
And their house is gonna sell in a week, we're gonna pay for windows for you.
okay,
Yeah. And as a friend of a good friend of mine, that type of thing. But we don't do it all the time.
I see what you,
We
yeah.
might say no to it more than we say yes if it gets asked a lot, because there's not that much money in the account, number one. But I do want to get something in writing to that regard. Good question.
Mhm.
Questions any in here? I like to go in order of living room,
Oh.
bedrooms. Yeah, that probably should. Oh, is there a leak there, right?
Leak and crack and.
Do they know that, but
Yeah, it's fixed.
the leak is fixed, drywall needs fixed.
Gives you some kills in here.
You know, a trick we've done before is just literally, excuse me,
Oh, yeah.
literally just a tube of caulk
Yeah,
and caulk that hole. It won't be perfect, but it'll look a lot better. And it's a less expensive deal than just replacing the whole
then
ceiling.
do you repaint it then, or you
Yeah, I
just,
would put
okay,
color paint on
okay,
this for sure.
yeah, that way it doesn't look like you, okay.
Yeah. There are no doors in this house hardly. Which is good.
I want to be close enough to listen.
Okay.
I'm recording it too.
Okay. This is nice.
Isn't it?
I'm surprised it's a basement.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. So this is obviously the same size as the house, with the exception of what probably is used to be the garage.
Oh,
So all we do, again, measure, boom, boom, and this is a full unfinished basement. I'm okay calling this full because that room's not that big, not a big deal. So we need to make sure that our, good. It seems a little bigger than what's here. Hang tight. Who has a math real quick? Never mind.
I can't.
Oh, I can do one.
33 by 25, bud.
Nope.
660 and 165 is 825.
33 times 25.
25.
Okay.
We got a laundry chute.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, sweet.
That's awesome.
That is there, Mark.
I never joke about laundry chutes.
I never. You draw the line there.
That's true, done.
We had a lot of the coolest thing.
I was thinking one on Home Alone.
Yes, that's what ours kind of looks
All
like.
right. Shannon, is that a gas or electric furnace? Raise your hand if you know if it's gas or electric.
That's gas.
Okay, we've got one gas.
I'm gonna guess gas, I don't know.
Adam, do you know?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, sure.
Gas. Is
So
it
why
gas or electric?
I'm gonna just go with gas because everybody else says gas.
It is.
Switch.
Dang it.
Gas line.
That's the line, the yellow.
Sarah. Here is the gas line that comes in and feeds the furnace. Okay? Gas will always have an exhaust to exhaust the carbon monoxide off. Okay? So this is a gas furnace. Will you see, okay, what is the water heater? Is that a gas or electric water heater? Electric.
Electric.
Shannon, why is that electric?
There's no yellow thing coming off of it.
Boogie, woogie, woogie. It's electric because there's an electric wire coming to it, no gas line or no exhaust line. All right? Now, could you have electric ran to a gas furnace or what?
You can convert it.
Could you have if you have a gas furnace, could there be electric ran to it?
Yes.
Yes.
Why? To make it work. If it's electric furnace, would you have gas run to it?
As long as you have a gas
If gas
line.
is available, but
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
you
you have
can't
to
do
have
that.
gas.
If it's an electric, doesn't matter. If
Oh, I
it's
see what, okay,
Oh.
right, if it's right, if it's an electric furnace or electric heater, that's what it was made for.
Right. You might have gas available and just still have an electric furnace. So you could have electric on a gas furnace. You won't have gas on an electric furnace.
Okay.
You will always have electric on a gas furnace.
I know, you could, right, you could.
Because of the blow systems, all have to have electricity, so every time the electricity.
It's
Does that make
demand
sense?
from the top
Okay.
So-
stairs.
Gas, you'll see the gas supply and the vent for the exhaust. Electric is just electric, okay?
Okay.
This conduit, a home inspector will probably tell you this is okay. Sometimes we've seen just a electric wire ran to a water heater, that's a code no. Home inspector will probably think that, okay? That's not something I would tell them to fix up front necessarily, unless it came up, like, go ahead. This might be a new water heater. I would recommend these people go ahead and empty out this basement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You wouldn't believe how much is going on.
okay, good.
This thing was clear for.
All right. I like to go in order: front living room, bedrooms, kitchen. I like to finish the first floor, then go to a second floor, and then the basement, and then Morgan, where do we go?
To the kitchen table.
If there is one.
If
right.
there is one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Looks like they've had new sill plate. Maybe it's just clean. Yeah. Anyway. Questions down here?
Also, a quick note, you'll notice that the vent pipe on the furnace is PVC or plastic, and it's not metal, like the older or original one would be.
Yeah.
That means that's been upgraded to a high efficiency furnace.
Okay. Very cool.
So, I would like you to be prepared as much as possible with comps when you go in, if you have enough opportunity to do the research ahead of time. Because I want you to be aware when you walk in, you're like, okay, this is a 1950s, whatever, 1,400 square foot, unfinished basement, 3-2, no garage, dead end street. You're thinking, oh, it's compared to this price range. And all you're basically doing during the walkthrough is a justification of the pricing. So you then can be a prepared professional and sit down and present the price to them at the time. Sometimes, so yes, do as much up front as you can. Take your iPad, laptop with you, have all their comps in a cart with their name on it. If you need to pull it up that in the front of them and show them, you're even more prepared. Does that make sense? I love being able to do that. In the event that you're not feeling it or it's not really lining up with where you thought, hey guys, you know what? Can I have 10 minutes here? I want to review the market because Shannon, I want to respect you and the price that we market your home at. I want to make sure that we get it as right as possible. Instead of me waiting until tomorrow to get back with you, can I have a few minutes here? Cool. Yeah, you can stay here. Don't feel like you have to leave. I just want to make sure, oh, cool. And then, you know, and that's all part of the rapport building. We're building rapport throughout this whole tour. Does that make sense? And then just come up with it. I never give them a price. I would like to always give them a price range. Hey, I think if we listed your house between 130 and 145, we're going to sell it in 40 to 60 days. Let them choose the price. Then they can't blame you for when it doesn't sell. Okay? Remember we talked 30 days later, my house selling. You know what? We're low on showings. I think it could be the price. We started at 144.9. The market's looking like we need to be under 140. Is it okay if we go ahead and go to 139.9 or 135 even? Well, you know, you did say that early on. I think that's okay. It softens the blow 30 days later or whatever days later.
I just went through that with my listing that I just listed.
Good.
We had decided 119, and then the day before we go on, I want 125. I said, and this is a very good friend of mine, so I'm like, okay, we'll do it your way, but in 2 weeks, if we have no offers, can we go down to 121? So I kind of met her in the middle a little bit. She's like, yeah, okay. Well, we've been on for a week and nothing. So I've already set her up that next Monday we're going to 121. And then I then said to that, in 2 or 3 weeks, if we're not anything, then I want to be at my 119. And she was cool with that. So, but she's kind of like, she's my best friend. So, you know, she trusts me, but they always seem to get like a sense of greed, like right before you go on the market too. Like they've already got paperwork, everything's signed, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. I feel like my house, well, everybody thinks their house is worth more than what it really is. Majority.
You know what? I tell you, if this house is worth 135 and we put it out at 125, the market will correct itself. The market will tell us, and honestly, the market will tell us if it's too high. In just the same regard. By no showings, no offers, no nothing of that nature. So the market dictates value.
So is there typically a range that you give them, like you went 15,000, or you went 130 to 145? Do you typically give them like that? Or?
10, 20,
okay.
20 on higher price.
Okay.
I think we should be 270, 290.
Okay.
320 to 340.
Okay.
Is that kind of like, so it kind of makes them feel like they're in control of it a little bit, but in reality, okay.
Yeah. There's no rocket science to this, as we discussed earlier with the appraisal situation. There's no definitive answer. This isn't brain surgery. This isn't rocket science, right? They just landed on Mars yesterday. $818 million. It took
Did they land?
They landed.
Okay.
It took 7 months to get there. It takes 8 minutes for a communication to reach Earth because it's 91 million miles. $818 million project. This is nothing. This is no big deal, right? Comparatively speaking. So we have abundance. We have a lot of these appointments coming our way, and it's not rocket science. Questions on pricing. Do as much as you can beforehand. We'll have some CMA training. Okay, we're too high. 144 here. We're too high. All right, you know what? We're going to see if we can get this carpet taken care of, these things here. We'll get the work done. A week later, we'll relist it 139.9 as a 3-bedroom, and they'll have an accepted offer.
If you want to go ahead and get them to sign in person, but you don't have your numbers yet, are you just having them sign just to feel like they're locked in, even though you don't have that price on there yet?
Why not?
Okay.
Good commitment.
Okay.
You don't have to have a price filled in for them to sign a listing agreement.
Okay.
I'll tell you what.
I guess I always feel like all the spaces need to be filled for them to commit.
So would you put anything TBD or just leave it like, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. When I send out your listing contracts too, I have a little like canned email that says the listing price hasn't been turned in. Once you and your agent figure out, you know what I mean? Like we explain that whole thing to him. There's like a big spiel.
Gotcha.
Then would you just give them an initial afterwards, I guess? No?
Turn that. You can if you want to. I'm not a corporate compliance type of person type thing. As long as it's right and you're not being shady on it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and
we're not.
they get a
So
copy
it's
too. Yeah, they get a copy. Like we're legally have to have that to them in 48 hours, so they're gonna have it.
Right, okay. I guess
If you
it
have to
felt like
sign
you
their
needed to
name,
have
sign
those
their
numbers
name.
ahead of time, that makes a lot more sense.
No, don't sign it.
Signatures not signed out first.
It's a live stream.
Oh yeah, that was on video. We'll cut that part out.
Hey Todd, what happens when we get an offer? Well, cool. When we get an offer, I do want to talk about this at the listing appointment. When we get an offer, I gotta be honest, it could be a quick situation. I'm not so certain that we'll be able to meet in person, Mr. Seller. It may have to be a phone conversation. Okay, cool, that makes sense, because your schedule, your husband's schedule, my schedule might not all line up to where we can take our time, have a cup of coffee, and sit down and go over it. They literally might send me an offer at 10 a.m., want an answer by 3 p.m. Be prepared. And by being prepared, I'm gonna have everything ready for you. I'm gonna go over an estimated net proceeds sheet. You've told me what you owed, I'm gonna plug in all the numbers. We're gonna talk about your check at closing, what you walk away with. And before that, we're gonna talk about all the other major terms of the purchase agreement. We're gonna talk about price last, because when we get an offer, because if we talk price first, you may miss some other important terms of the contract. So I'm gonna make sure I present that offer to you with all important terms up front, and we'll talk price last. Make sense? Cool. And then what we can do is I can just email you the purchase agreement, you can quickly digital sign it, or if you need to print it out, sign it, and scan it back in, that's easy too. Or if I need to meet you in person, or you can come by our office and have all the assistants help you. Because they're all licensed and they can. Make sense?
You have a really good video out there on presenting offers too, that I
Oh,
can.
that's right.
I
That was a
can.
good one.
I've got it on the training site and I can share it with everybody.
Cool. Questions? What other questions do you have? I want you to use that word.
I know, like how you're subliminally dropping in on us.
What other questions do you have? I use it in coaching all the time. What other questions do you have? Let's dig out. No, I'm good. Okay, see you. I'm going home. Or we'll stay till 3, or whatever. Servicing a listing. So when you go back to the office, update with the listing manager. If they need to send listing docs or whatever the case is, tell them the terms, they'll fill them in. Sarah will fill it in, take care of it, and get it out. Then every 2 weeks, then we make sure we get it signed. She'll schedule photos. We've got a really cool sheet on the front page that Sarah will explain to you how to fill out. If you want to, like sometimes I will just take a picture of that sheet and text it to her, and she'll get started right away. Okay, because everything she needs to know is on that sheet of paper. One piece of paper, as you get in your car to leave, she could have them documents emailed by the time you get back to the office. Does that make sense? As efficient as possible. I'm the CEO of this, Chief Efficiency Officer, right? I want everything as efficient as possible. And don't waste any time, make it all timely. Make sense? I'm not even shaking my head at 3 of you. So, get everything to the office, don't get the ball rolling. I want you to review the listing to make sure nobody made a mistake, okay? And we're gonna edit this and update this listing because I took a lot more notes in that file.
Okay. Supra.
Supra.
Yeah. What do they do with the Supra?
Oh, if you want to get a key from them that night, go ahead and get a key, put a Supra box on. It's okay. If you want to put a sign in the yard, go ahead. Make sure they sign the listing agreement. If you want to put a sign.
I had myself. It's fine.
Let's just pretend that we just walked up from the basement and there's a kitchen table here. I'm going to walk up and I'm still looking around, but I'm already thinking about the next 3 questions that I'm going to ask. Make sense?
and I'm gonna go straight to the kitchen table. I sit my bag down, sit my file down, and I'm just gonna sit there. And if they're moseying around, that's an opportunity for me to finish these other questions. Blah, 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 da, 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 all these things. Fireplace, yes. There's one, it's a wood burning. All right, appliances, is there a dishwasher?
Nope.
Is there a garbage disposal? No. Microwave, no. Range, fridge, basement, yes. It's a full, unfinished. Electric, public sewer, forced air central. First floor master. Master bath. Built-in bookcase. Cable wired, ceiling fan, ceramic bath, and a eat-in kitchen. Family room. Hey Todd, would you like something to drink? What do you all think is okay to say there? What would you all say? What do you say? Have you ever been offered?
Mhm.
What do you say?
Do you have beer? I always just say that's all right, I'm okay.
I always say I would love a glass of water. Number one, you can hear it in my voice, I'm getting a little raspy. I want the fluid hydration. Number two, if we're sitting at their kitchen table, they poured a drink in their own glasses, like they've welcomed me, and that's part of the whole rapport building. Okay? I say yes. And honestly, Nate, you drink beer, you want a beer? I'd love a beer. I mean, it's okay. Don't have 40.
Don't have too much.
I don't have one
Your
rattler.
commission's down to 3%. We gotta finish this. Who are you?
You're an adult. If they want to start pouring cocktails and fancy blending drinks, I would probably say no, or a glass of wine. I mean, I would be okay if you're a beer drinker or a wine drinker. I would probably stay away from hard liquor or anything.
No margaritas?
fancy, but that's all your discretion. You're all adults. If you say no, you say no. If you say yes, that's on you. But I think by providing you a drink, whether it's a soda or a glass of tea, whatever, just it solidifies a little bit more deeper relationship. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
One time we went on the house, he was grilling steaks. I'm like, oh my gosh, that smells so good, and it's 5 o'clock. He goes, and he's a big dude, I know him real well, bigger than you or me, policeman. He goes, you're having dinner with my family. I go, yeah, I smell those steaks, you're right, I'm having dinner. Yeah.
Think I was leaving?
Yeah, man. So it was a cool conversation. He's still a client. But I thought that was really, really cool. And just kind of sitting at their kitchen table, and it makes part of the family. So that's a really strategic move of, I'd love something to drink. Now, don't ask. If you're coughing, blah, blah, you have a glass of water or something, that's okay. But if they offer, it's okay to accept. So just finish filling this dude out here. Thermopane windows. This is a Bedford Stone home, right? Stone, dead end street, park-like view, scenic view. How many times can you say pretty view? Right?
That many.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm sitting at the kitchen table. Hey guys, let's have a seat real quick. Okay? Then what do we typically say? But,
Any questions so far?
don't give them an opportunity to say yes or no.
What questions do you have? For me?
Boom. What questions do you have? And they might ramble. They might not. Cool. Well, if you don't have any questions, here's what I'll do. I will get to work and come up with a value price range for you. And I'll call you today or call you tomorrow, whatever agreement you make. And we can take care of all the listing paperwork electronically, online. I can send it to you. You can just click with your finger
And then once that's done, I'll schedule professional photographers. We'll put a key on your front door, a lockbox on your front door, a sign in the yard, we'll get it all over the internet, and we'll sell your house. It can be that simple. How's that sound? Sound good? Boom. And then if that's cool, go. Leave. Do what you said you were going to do. But before you do, I always say, what other questions do you have? If they don't have any, go home. Now, that's a far-fetched example. That's a far extreme. But it can be that simple if you allow it. It doesn't have to be complicated. Don't sell them with blah blah when you can close them with blah. Does that make sense? Don't ramble. If you're nervous, shut up. Because it usually comes out in your mouth, doesn't it? Right? Relax. Be relational. They're humans. They want you to help them, show value. Now, in the file, we have the listing process flow sheet, and we'll get that out at the next time meeting or something and show you. This is what the steps are to list your home. Here are open house tips. Here's home inspection tips. Here's the cast of characters who you're going to be working with. Once we get an accepted offer, our closing coordinator is going to take care of all the details from that day until closing. I'm going to be right by your side, right by her side. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. She's pretty capable of taking care of the details all the way from closing. Because I'm really great at negotiating. I'm not the best at following up on details. And quite frankly, Mr. Seller, if you call me to ask me when the appraisal is, I'm going to let you know. I don't have that available, but I'm going to make sure our office gets a hold of you right away and let you know that information. Oh, okay, cool. That makes sense? Because it's not my job, quite frankly, to keep track of when the appraisal is and all that stuff. That's the office's problem. Office's detail, not problem. Well, how much is my commission? Ask it.
So, what do you charge for a commission?
Our commission is 7%. What other questions do you have?
Why do you charge 7%?
I've shown you enough value here, and honestly, what we do costs a lot of money. What we do, we have a full-time marketing director. We're the only agent in Southern Indiana that has a full-time person dedicated to making sure your house is marketed everywhere it needs to, on all the websites and blogs and social media and all that stuff. Other agents just basically put it in MLS and hope that somebody shows up. Not only do we put it in MLS and all over those websites, she's strategically looking at analytics once a week at least, making sure your house is positioned where it needs to be to hit the target audience that we're looking for.
Sounds good.
What other questions do you have on commission?
How soon can we get started?
Good. Isolate it and knock it out, wrap it up, clear it out. Does that make sense?
What if you get beat up on like 7 versus 6, if they know a little bit about the market
Yeah.
and all that?
Okay.
So I've just said such and such says they do it for 6, I heard such and such do it for 6. Why are you worth 7 as opposed to 6?
They'll do it for 6. What are they cutting out of the services that they provide you? Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's my concern, Mr. Seller. And this is all preferably sitting at a kitchen table. Here's what concerns me about that, Mr. Seller. If they're not covering their expenses and looking out for their money, what makes you think they're going to look out for your money? Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So is that usually pretty easy to isolate that one then?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Well, Blank said they're going to do it for 5%. What? Yikes! How? What are they going to cut out? That's, quite frankly, a little scary to me, because I understand that your money is important, but if they're not watching out for their money, what makes you think they're going to watch out for your money? Because this is an expensive career that I'm in. And we spend a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to make sure your home is positioned where it is. Oh, by the way, we want to be the most skilled expert negotiators in this market, so we're always attending education. So not only are you getting some of the best, we continue to be even better at our skill level. Does that make sense? So quite frankly, you've got a pretty big yard here, don't you? Yeah, whatever. How do you mow your yard here?
Hire someone to do it.
You hire someone to do it. Now, you could
go get a $300 push mower and push mow the yard. But instead you choose to hire somebody, which is really the smarter decision. It's more convenient on you, isn't it?
Right.
So that's quite frankly what the difference between a 5% and a agent and a professional agent is. Because you see, I'm not a cheap agent. You can have it done cheaper, but quite frankly, it could add a lot more headache and stress, much like mowing your yard with a push mower for 3 hours. Does that make sense? So let's save the sweat and hassle and go ahead and do the right thing and hire me today. We could back those up and tee those out all night long in different directions. At the end of the day, if you have to adjust your commission a little bit, let's talk about that. How many numbers are between 7% and 6%? If you know it, don't say it. How many numbers are between 7 and 6? Sharon? 4 numbers?
Oh.
How many numbers are between 7 and 6?
If you know that, you're really good.
Millions. 7.4, 6.428349%. So see, that you can go incremental from 7 to, you know what? I want to work for you. And I respect the fact that some other cheap agents are out there battling our commission. I love that word. I love that word.
Cheap.
Follow me? What message does that send?
You're the best.
You're higher end.
You don't want cheap.
Nobody.
Nobody wants cheap.
I don't want cheap.
It's a derogatory.
Now, it could be seen as me being arrogant, and I'm okay with that, because we gotta have a little bit of swagger and confidence to hold these guys' hand through the battlefield of selling their home. Does that make sense? That's okay. If you find me as arrogant, that's all right. Yeah, maybe I am a little bit. By golly, I'm gonna get your job done for you.
And you always do 2.8 on everything to the other side, right? Or
No,
is it
we
better
have a
cut off?
scale. We have a
Okay.
scale. If it's at the office. If it's a higher priced property and we had to reduce our commission down from 7, then we go to like 2.7 if it's over 205 or something like that. But if it's 7%, we typically just, no matter what price it is. That's on the traditional model of 60-40 split. Louisville does a 50-50, 3 and 3. Over here, we've always done 60-40, and that's why you see so many 2.8s. But the problem is, they forget to keep it at 7%, they go down to 6. And then it's 3.2 and 2.8. But you know what? Negotiate it, because you're worth it. Do you have something else? What else?
And one other question.
Yep.
You said on the listing contract, you talk about how you can just e-sign it. So you do that every time, as opposed to, if you feel like you have a couple that's ready to sign right now.
I want you to always carry in your car extra listing packets. Sarah will get you squared away with those. In the event, and then in the file, can we start putting blank listing agreements in the files?
Yeah. So on top of having a listing packet, you want them to have a listing folder with a listing agreement in it?
No. Let's go ahead and start putting the listings in the file. Listing agreement in the file.
Okay.
That way, what we do is the way I've done it for years. Okay, now that we have more better agents than I ever was, let's put listing agreements in here.
Okay.
That way, when we're in the moment and they want to sign, you sign.
Or for like
Yeah.
80.
Question.
Would have saved you a $500,000 property, I think. if you-
Well, yeah, well, there's only one spouse there.
It's all right, I got her to sign the damn thing.
Yeah,
It's true.
should have.
Yeah.
Maybe.
For some
All the way
reason,
to that point.
But that is what I was hitting on, though. If you feel like you have someone ready to sign right there, especially if
Or-
we're both
or
there.
I've had a couple, 2 now, they just flat asked, we're gonna do it online. No.
Right.
So we went there, and Todd did one because I was slow one day, so he did one, but didn't have nothing else to do.
Like, hell, we're here. You want to sign the paperwork? Sure. I'm surprised by how many listings we do get wet signed. So let's go ahead and put that in the listing packet. In between 7 and 6, there are millions of numbers. Hey, you know what? I really like it at 6%. So step out of that situation for a moment. Who is the expert negotiator in this talk? You or the seller? Whatever, right? Because the difference between 2.8 and 3.8, you have to sell 3 at 2.8 for the same income as only selling 2 at 3.8, approximately, right? Does that make sense? So you have to do more work for less money. And who's the skilled negotiator here? You are. Does that make sense? So I tell you what, Shannon, I can't do it at 6. I want to work for you though. What I can do is I'll do it for 6.99. Just kidding. And make them laugh, right? I tell you what, I want to work for you. Can we agree to 6.7? How about 6.5? Meet me in the middle of 6.6. Cool? Does that work for you? And when I reduce the commission, I'm going to take the hit off my side. I'm not going to deduct any of the buyer's agent's pay. Does that make sense?
You like this?
All right.
Thank you.
There's plenty of ways to handle it.
See y'all after bit.
See, man, can you get out?
Gotta go to Linwood. I think I can. I've got 4-wheel drive. That's right there.
But really, it starts on the phone at the first interaction, the first conversation. That's why we emphasize the fact that the conversation is what matters most. The conversation of, hey, this is Morgan with the Paxton Group. Just checking in. What real estate questions do you might have for me today? Well, I don't have any. That's cool. Let me ask you, before I let you go, who do you know, maybe from church, work, school, who do you know might be interested in making a move now or in the near future? Oh, you know, I don't really. Well, when you think about that, would you mind just giving me a call back and letting me know? Because what I would hate for people to do out there is I hate for them to get in the hands of a bad real estate agent. We've all heard of horror stories out there. I really want to make sure that I'm reaching out to people. What I'm doing today is I'm reaching out to people just to check in and see what can we do to help people in their real estate dreams. Oh yeah, that's really cool. Well, before I let you go, can I ask you this? Have you ever considered investing in real estate? Like, don't pester them, but just provide value. Awesome. You know what? I understand that you don't have anything right now. You don't know of anybody right now. But when you do, please let me know, because I'd love to reach out to them directly and not waste any of their time. So if you would just call me and give me their phone number, I'd be happy to reach out to them and get this process started sooner than later. Is that cool? Yeah, awesome. I'll tell you what, if you know anything from me, I will let you go, and I'll be checking in with you here periodically over the next year or so, or 3 months, or 2 months, or tomorrow, whatever, right? Cool?
Mm-hmm.
It's the relationship. That's where the listing presentation starts. It's going to the ball games. It's being at whatever events that we do. It's helping somebody out on Facebook. Hey, here's a plumber you might want to know, or blah, 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 blah. It's anywhere and everywhere. Lead generation is not a on and off type of thing. It can be a 24/7 type of thing. You're at the grocery store, you're pissed off about something, you act like a fool, that's negative lead generation. Or if you're at the grocery store, something bad happens, you're like, oh, it's all good. Wow, that's really cool. You handled that really well. Awesome. I'm a real estate agent. You happen to know anybody looking to make a move right now or in the near future? Oh, that's cool. And I'm going to tell them, Fred, here's my card. When you know somebody looking to make a move, would you please reach out to me directly, because I'd love to help them out and not waste their time. They go tell them, I met this wonderful gal at work today. She could have gotten really pissed off about not having blah, 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 or this happened. She was really cool. She had her card. Well, don't you remember Joe, Sally and Joe are wanting to move? Oh my gosh. Hey, Morgan, this is Sarah. I met you at the Kroger today. Just want to let you know, my neighbor. That will never happen if you're an asshole about something stupid that happened, right? Those are lessons that we don't think about, because lead generation can be a 24/7 type of situation. You never know where your next lead will come from. Make sense? I feel like I've talked a lot. What questions do you have? Then, super sign, pointer signs everywhere. Always carry 4 or 5 in your trunk. Pop them out. Make sense? Because if we don't have a listing down that road and there's a pointer sign, chances are it leads to somewhere. When we sell a house, don't worry about picking the pointer signs up on some roads. Leave them out there. It's advertisement, right? Unless it's a dead-end road. Well, it's no listings on a 3-house road. Maintenance, call your sellers every 2 weeks. You're the good cop. You're the bad cop. You're calling them to do what? Get a price reduction. Sarah's calling them every week on the opposite week, and she's loving on them.
Okay.
She's the good cop. Good cop, bad Make sense? Story goes like this. Hey seller, it's Todd. I just want to give you an update here. She's loaded us up with the amount of showings and activity. We've had 6 showings in the last 2 weeks, and just doing a little quick CMA here, looks like the market has shifted a little bit. We're not seeing as much activity as we were 60, 60, 90 days ago. What I'm a little concerned about is that house is empty, and what we know is that an empty house costs about 1% per month. And I feel bad that I haven't sold your home. I'm just concerned that we still might be a little bit on the high side on price. Would it be okay if we went ahead and adjusted the price today to $134,900? That's exactly how that conversation goes. And let them kind of hem and haw, let them be emotional about it, or let them be logical about it. Either way. If they're emotional about it, listen, hear them out, and just say, you know what, I'm just doing my job. Don't kill the messenger, haha. Remember, we discussed our price range. And what we're seeing is that houses are going to start sitting a little bit more longer on the market over the winter months here as the market's shifting. So I just want to let you know, Sarah will be in touch next week, and I'm afraid that, to get more activity on your house, to do my job for you, the job that I committed to do, I think we really need to be in that little bit lower price range. I'm okay asking again. Are you sure you don't want to adjust it now? No, that's okay. Okay, cool. Then, and it can be just that much for the phone call. Because the next week, Sarah is calling them, hey, it's Sarah, I'm here to love on you. Right?
I sound just like that.
So her job is to love on them. You know what? All Todd wanted me to do was reduce the price last week when he called me. I know, daggone it, he's just doing his job. And you know what? We've thought about it. Let's go ahead and adjust it. Like, in a year, she will get more price reductions than we will. Does that make sense? Because we're giving them the logical, cold hard facts. Sarah is going to be their emotional ear to lean on. Follow me? Has that been the case much, though, thus far?
Not much with our sellers, because our sellers who are not Kent Whitten and people who are into, investment properties are selling in a day.
Yeah.
But another thing that has been helping is that when I do call these investors, if we haven't been getting any showings or something, I'll say, here's what I'm doing this week to market your property. I feel like that's a good, for them, that's what they want to hear.
Yeah,
That's their love language. What are you doing for me?
There you go.
So I
Love
just,
it.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And then the next week, hey, thanks for reducing the price. Since then, it looks like we've got some action. That's exciting. Yeah, but I want to sell my house, Todd. Then what do we do now? What do we do now?
Another price drop.
Boom! I know, it's so frustrating, isn't it? I'm on your side. It's so frustrating. You know what? We thought 134 would help. Man, this market is just getting really slow. And I'm afraid, I hate to say it, we still might be on the high side. Daggone it. This market, blame the market. The market's the bad guy. This market's crazy right now. Well, I thought the market was good. The market was good. The market's a little tougher right now, man. I'm not dropping the sky in your face and say the sky's falling. I just want to be real with you. I'd rather level with you than lie to you. The market's a little tougher right now. And quite frankly, if we don't do the right thing, I'm a little concerned that we might be sitting for a long time. You think we can go to 129 today? No chance. Just last week I did what you told me to, and we haven't had, I'll get it. I understand. Any other questions I can help you with today? What else can I help you with? I'm good, just sell my damn house. And the next week, Sarah calls, hey, Sarah. Go ahead and drop it, like he said. That's what happens over time, okay? And they might be like, all right, dude, go ahead and drop it. But just there's emotion and there's logic. And you just gotta work with the two. People, sellers, clients get emotional. They just want you to listen. You shut up and you listen. Very hard for us ID people in the world. I just want results and I want them right now. Logic, I like working myself. I like working with those logical people. They're like, yeah, dude, no showing, drop it, $5,000. Now, I get it. Some sellers cannot afford to do that. That's just the market. That's the brevity of the situation that we're in.
And that's okay. We knew that going in. It made no promise that I would sell your home. Make sense? Whew, what other questions do you have?
So one of the things that I've noticed is that most of the price reductions are $5,000. What if they say they don't want to do 5,000 cut and have another do 2,500? Do you go with that, or do you just?
Yeah,
Okay.
you give me whatever. It's gonna make a difference. Back in the days of the tougher market, I used to reduce my flips $1,000 a week until they sold. What's the matter? That way, every week it comes up on the hot search, all the websites as a price reduction. It's in front of you. If agents,
Yeah.
if agents have clients on a search, it gets sent to them again. It gets in their face again. It's top of mind awareness. You're going to see that next week on Tecton. Hopefully Friday. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Get the activity out there.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I feel like I've talked your ear off, and I'm surprised y'all are just not bored. Is this helpful?
Yeah,
Very.
absolutely.
Really interesting.
Okay.
What about setting the expectation of turnaround time? Like when you guys are talking to sellers, what are you saying as far as like if we do photos tomorrow, when is their listing going to be live?
Got it. You know what? I want my house on the market by Friday. Awesome. All we need to do is have pictures scheduled Wednesday, Thursday at the latest. Because when we get pictures scheduled, typically we have them back the day after. I like giving us 2 days just lead time. So let's go ahead and do the right thing. I love that embedded command. Let's go ahead and do the right thing. Put me to work tonight, sign here, and I can get to work started tomorrow. I'll text the photographer on the way home, meaning you'll text Sarah and we'll do it, and we'll get you started right away. Or if it's after hours, I know the photographer, he's a friend of mine. I'm like, hey dude, can you do this? Hey, I just got back with the photographer. He could be here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Is that cool for you? Oh, awesome. You guys are on it. Yeah. And then we'll have you on the market the day after tomorrow. Because we're going to put everything in the MLS, get everything ready. And the last thing we're waiting on is the pictures. And as soon as he sends those back to us in 48 hours, we're going to shoot this to you. We'll shoot this online. We've been good to go. We're going to send you a copy of the listing, Mr. Seller. Make sure that you look over it and review it if there's any errors, or you know what, if you don't like the way it's presented, you just let me know. If you want me to change the marketing remarks or anything, you're my boss. No problem. Is that where you're going?
Yes.
Cool. What else? Listings. This is fun. I'm so glad we've been here. I think because we were here, we're going to be able to sell this on.
For sure.
I believe I misunderstood Bud when he was talking about that not being the door there. Questions? Biggest aha takeaway that you didn't know before you came here today?
That a room doesn't have to have a closet to be considered a bedroom.
Cool.
That's the gas line thing,
What?
the gas line thing, which I should know since mine is gas, but I don't have to take care of that. That's not my job.
That's probably the closet too, because I always went with that. Makes practically true, I guess. This thing always wasn't technically true.
I was drinking the water.
Why not?
Here's his what?
Drinking the water.
Drinking the water.
Yeah,
Oh, the water.
Yeah.
Mine was, how to handle the 6%.
Yeah,
Condition
exactly.
Oh, I do like that, yeah.
That's the most important one, I guess.
Here's my shocked face.
Is any of those 5 takeaway? What's yours?
I think mine was just what you guys are saying to them, like, cause I don't know.
You never done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always on the other side, so it was really interesting to figure out why you say what you say when you say it.
Or is any of this rocket science?
No.
Are you?
Mine wasn't just the water, it was like all the theater that's involved in it, you know, that's just, that's just a part of it that kind of,
Now, don't overdo it. When I say,
I'll put on your ballet shoes.
Again,
I just pictured you. I just pictured you.
said that.
I'm looking at 2 people in particular.
Ballet, your bitches here.
Too high.
Hey, everybody's got their thing.
Is that still on video?
Yeah, that was all on video. I got the dance too.
I'm gonna make that my ringtone. Your boss is here.
I love his laugh. Okay.
Go for commitment at the table. Sign it in person if you need to and can. If you don't get everything signed that night, don't worry. That's what the office's staff's here for. They'll take care of it tomorrow. Make sense?
I have a question. So you said did you come prepared with numbers or are you
Wait.
waiting to see it?
Good, my bad. A house like this, I'm probably gonna go back to the drawing board and do some figuring. If it's a house like the next door Blackberry Ridge, every fourth house is the same. We kind of have an idea, but I want to make sure I give them the pricing is very important. I want to make sure I don't screw that up. Now, we're going to screw it up a lot. What happens? The market corrects it. So don't be too analytical about this. Don't be too emotional. I mean, early on, take as much information as you can. I would like you to have a basic CMA of an understanding of 3-bed, 2-bath with a basement in this area of town, having of this age and this size. I want you to have that general understanding. Would you hold this because I want to probably have to move the car. So don't feel bad if you're not fully prepared there, and just if you're not ready, hey Todd, what do you think our house should be priced at? You know what? That's a very important question, probably the most important one you've asked. I told you when we first got together, I may not have the exact numbers for you today, but I do commit to call you right away when I get back to the office this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and I'll make sure that I want to review this. This is very important.
You can't get out.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back in.
Yeah, okay.
They have
I'll
chickens.
move.